And while I was writing for TV in France, I also had another job in a web agency that was another passion of mine. And I started producing my own content, which was always stories that happen at night, scary stories. For some reason, I've always been interested in telling stories that only happens during the nights. From a visual standpoint, I think it's visually more interesting, and it's something that came out naturally in my gut. So I had to tell a story, this kind of darkness.
It's a real challenge for a filmmaker to actually produce in the dark and film in the dark, because there's a great lighting challenge.
Yeah,
And
that's true. It does produce a challenge, but at the same time, from an artistic standpoint, what I feel is very interesting, as opposed to filming during the day. When you film a scene during the day, you don't have any control over the light in the space, because the light is the way it is, and you can evidently move the furniture and change the frame. But at night, you have a complete control over what's happening. For example, if I do that, boom, I'm changing the pace, and I can add another light with my phone and suddenly create another.
ooh, blue
So
light.
suddenly I'm playing with whatever I'm very free to create the frame I want, because I'm shooting in the dark. So that's why I really enjoy filming at night, because it's like painting. You create the frame you want, because you can dim everything down, and then from there you start putting lights where you need the lights to be.
The first film that I saw by you was Derail, Detour, and it was just amazing the way that you play with light and dark. And I have some questions for you about creating this story and how you go. And I've read a number of scripts that you have written, and how you go about finding those dark places, because for a lot of writers, that's one of the hardest places to go, is to create the really frightening place for your characters, which makes the audience frightened.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting, because in my case, it's something I don't control, in a way that stories start coming into my mind when I don't expect them to come. But I tend to like to wander at night in places, so that's where I get inspired. I go in an industrial landscape in South Los Angeles. I take pictures, and by being there, I'm going to start feeling energy, and that's going to lead me to having an idea for a story. So the process is kind of very organic, in a sense that I let the inspiration comes to me, and then regarding the dark place, what happens, and I have tried to understand where it came from, but I guess it came from my childhood. I had a very, like David Lynch, I have a very peaceful childhood. But in the same time, I was always questioning the normal world, the peacefulness around me, and maybe deep inside, I was always feeling something beneath the reality that needed to be expressed. So, a form of anxiety, and that's where I'm able to explore that in each of my situations. I usually start with a location and with a situation, and from there, I know things going to shift, and seems going to be scary, terrifying, challenging for the main character. That's where I'm interested in having my stories.
And I know that whenever you're getting ready to do a new story, the first thing you do is go out and look for people to help you identify dark places and location set for the story.
Yeah, exactly. I sometimes get a location before I get a story. So I'm using even Pinterest now as a way to collect frames and pictures that I know are intrigue me, but I don't know what the story is yet. So it's an interesting process to just
Wow.
you you look at you look.
You comb Twitter, you comb Pinterest just looking for images to spark that story within you.
Yeah, that's a funny
Yeah.
process. You go
Wow.
on Giggle.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. I've never, so far, I haven't met anyone else who does that, who starts by just searching for images and letting those images inspire them to story. That's a very unique process. Wow.
Yeah, I really like that. It's it's I guess you spend less gas because you don't have to drive all over LA to find these places. You go on Google Image and you type dark forest and then boom, you have 100 images of dark forest. So
Ah,